The next step is to change these labels into text widgets. We want to be able to show doobie 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 doo on 3 lines. We want to break lines and be wider. And we could do that with labels, but then we can't type in a label. So we want to do it with a text widget that looks like a label. So let's find label and change it to text. This is where we made the column headers. This one's going to be text. Change this word to cell. And then how do you actually do stuff in a text? I don't use them that much. Might have to look it up because it doesn't have a text option. It has an insert method. So we're gonna say this is not right anymore and this is not right anymore, and they need to be replaced with good stuff. Not sure what we're going to do about the size of this thing. Maybe there's like a wrap length or something where it'll break a line after a certain number of characters. I'll have to look that up. There's a text insert method. It's more complicated than the entry insert. Instead of inserting at character 0, we got to say what line we're inserting on. And I believe it starts on line 1 and character 0. Then you got to say what you're inserting, which is going to be this whole if else doesn't need to be here. So we're going to do an insert down here. Let's make this smaller. Characters and lines, width and length. What do you think? 36 characters. Okay, now that's got the right stuff in the cells. That's what we care about. And now it's not a label anymore. We can change that, and we can tab from, whoops, we need to get rid of that. I don't want the tab to work like this inside of here. We're going to go ahead and make our own class now for this text. That's a capital TEXT, Tkinter text. And we're going to call it cell. And we're going to base it on tk.Text. Here's something in the clipboard that we're going to need. And make this the same way we made the last one. Whenever we make a widget, I shouldn't say we, but I always make it the same way. Keyword arguments, those are called options in Tkinter. This is self, like this. Is my new way of doing it. It's going to wrap lines not in the middle of a word. See, we've now bound this text widget, which is now a cell widget because we inherited from text. We bound it to both these functions. And what this does is it breaks out of what the text widget has been told to do somewhere inside of Tkinter, so we don't have that tabbing staying inside of the widget. So if you're in here and you go tab, it will go to this widget, tab will go to this widget, tab will go to this widget, like that. Then you got to remember to actually use the right, whatchamacallit, this is not tk.Text anymore, it's now called cell. And 36 is too long, let's make it 20. Now you can see all the stuff because it fits on the screen. I would like to have these shoved over to the left so they line up with the columns. There you go. See, now that's what you want to do. That's good. Well, next step is to try and colorize these cells. And I'll bet you anything that we got a BG and FG, and it's pretty much probably all we're going to care about right at the moment. Let's do it the same way, except we won't use that font so that it looks like what the main app already looks like. We want to go into widgets, find that big old dictionary. Okay, those entries were called label entry dynamic, and you can see we got a different font here, so it's not exactly the same as the label H3. We're just going to call it cell, but it's going to have the same look, so we want these same things there. We're not doing fonts, but it belongs in here. So we have a little booby trap we need to remove or change. If subclass is not in cell or label H3, then we'll go to the next widget. Got to actually put cell in here. There you go. We want to put those over to the left. To the west. So these are lined up along the left edge. So let's talk about the next step. For one thing, we don't want boxes. It's a hobby. It's supposed to look pretty. So we want one line under here and that's it. We see there's two boxes. First is the blue box around each one. It's caused by padding. And we do want padding, but what we want is for the background to be the same color as these cells. And then you won't see any blue grid. It'll just be padding. The other thing is to get rid of this gray border, which is on a text by default. Now this is not going to change, so it doesn't go with this stuff. It's just going to be like that wrap thing. It's going to be an option that we use for every one of these cells. It's not user configurable, in other words, so it doesn't go in Treebard formats. Border equals 0. Let's try that. There you go. This is over on the left now, and there's no gray line inside. Now the next thing is to get rid of the blue line. All these cells are in a frame because you see the events table is a class that inherits from frame. And there's only one color on a frame, and that's the background color. See, this is called events table. I suppose it needs to be down here. We're going to be able to configure it at the same time. It's a frame, so all it has is BG. And then we're going to add it to here. This line's going to go away someday when we have all our bases covered, but for now it prevents a key error. We want to do this, make it the same color as the cells instead of blue. Where's blue? Control F. There's a blue here someplace. There it is. Let's take that out. That's no longer wanted. This is supposed to be a different color. No more grid lines. Label H3 is supposed to be a different color. BG is supposed to be either head or highlight BG. I don't remember which one. Let's see if that works right now. It does now, but what happens when we recolorize it is my question. Yeah, see, it changed to black. We're going to pick this up where we left off. We're going to recolorize this row properly in the next movie. Okay, thanks for showing up. See you next time.